Hello, Karen.
Hello, Deb. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. We haven't had a catch up in so long. We
We
haven't even had
haven't.
we haven't even had like a meeting. So it's almost like we're having one of our meetups, but we're just doing it publicly.
Yeah, it is. It's really been quite an interesting few weeks, hasn't it? Really, because it's it like you zigging while I zag. You know,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
free and I'm not. I'm free and you're not. And it's just been a busy time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
it's blooming good if you ask me.
And you've
Blooming
just
good.
come. Yeah, it is blooming good. You've been a very busy bee. I have to say, Karen, I'm really impressed with how much you post. Like you're
Yeah,
always incredible information out there. It's
yeah.
really inspiring. It's got me. I've given myself a bit of a come on, girl, get yourself out there a bit more. Look at what Karen's doing. So it's
Oh
good to
lordy,
be able
yeah.
to
No,
the bus.
it's it's been fun actually, Deb,
Yeah,
and
that's the
and
way it's meant to be.
yeah, and motivating. And so the more people engage, the more motivating it is. And even if, like for example, the one you explained, which is what motivated us to actually get and chat today,
Yeah.
is a post I did around my decision,
Yes.
my to not have mammograms, and that sparked quite a discussion, didn't it?
My goodness, did that what? That
Yeah,
got a lot of heat. It's it's fair enough. There were a lot of comments in there from people who have said, well, actually, I'm blooming glad I had my mammogram because it, alerted to me early my breast cancer, and I was able to take action. But then there were
yeah,
also some absolute trolls in there, and I think
yeah,
it'd be quite interesting to talk about that because um, those were people who you don't even know. They've never piped up on any of your posts before in the past. So it'd be good to have a little chat about that because I don't know if not everyone is aware that there are fake people out there, literally, and there are people paid to be multiple different people and to just look
yeah,
for posts like yours with trigger words and go on there and discredit you and troll you.
yeah.
So that was interesting too.
The thing is Deb, I think I've got quite tough skin now. I don't take any notice of them. I just ignore them because
Yeah,
everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And the thing
exactly.
is that what some people said, oh, you're not a medical doctor. No, I'm
Yeah.
not. But I have done informed choices. I didn't just not do a mammogram just because I didn't want to do a mammogram. You know, I
Yeah.
did some research, and I also have had the great pleasure, you could say, of working with clients who have been through the gamut of having breast cancer and been told that there's nothing more that they can do for them after all the treatment and everything, and had different results with different people. But I have encountered people who have had breast cancer, and some of them were early detected in theory. And what happened with them is the treatment far outweighed the the non-treatment, if you see what I mean. So um
Yeah. So what? I mean, it'd be quite good to touch on some of those risks that you're aware of that informed your decision, your personal decision not to do that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, shall we cover some of them off? I mean,
Yeah,
what?
so basically when you look at having a mammogram, for example, and you get your breast and you squish it, that's going to cause damage to the
Yeah,
breast tissue.
absolutely.
And especially more so with someone, I mean, I'm not small breasted, but someone who's smaller breasted, it's actually more damage. And then you've got x-rays going through, and we know that x-rays can be carcinogenic. So
Yeah,
If you have a mammogram on a regular basis, you're getting a regular dose of X-ray. Then when you get, you have a lump detected, what they often will do is we'll do a biopsy. Now, and I know some people opt to just have an operation and remove the lump, which is actually probably the better of the evils. But if you have a biopsy, because the body's really clever, it often what these little lumps are, so whether they're cancerous or non-cancerous, their body is putting away toxins into little cells. So the toxins don't get spread throughout our whole body. And it just so happens that the body chooses certain areas to put these toxins. And when you think about the breast tissue, it's got a lot of lymph glands. And so consequently, a lymph is our dustbin, basically. It's our elimination tissue. And so often you'll find them in the breast. And if you pierce them when they do a biopsy, what they're doing is they're actually allowing, so they're taking stuff out, but they're also leaving a hole so that then those toxins can go anywhere in your body. So that's why I wouldn't have a mammogram or a biopsy.
It's the same concept, Karen, as polyps in the bowel, isn't it? Polyps that form in the bowel, they're essentially cocooning up the toxins to keep them contained. And when you go and lob them all off, that all is leaking everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the body is amazingly clever. And, so my experience with bowel stuff is my mum. My mum, I don't know if I've told you this story. I think I might have done. But basically, my mum always had like a pot belly. She was quite small, but she had a pot belly always. And I don't remember any time as a child that she didn't have one in photos. And so I think, how old was she when she decided? I think she was 70 when she decided to go to the doctor and see what they could do about this pot belly. Why she decided to do it then, I don't know. And anyway, so what transpired is she had a colonoscopy and they found a tiny, minuscule growth that was about a centimetre growth.
Yep.
And then they decided in their wisdom that they would remove this growth and see what it was. And it did turn out to be malignant. But they then said, well, it was so small and everything else, and so we won't worry about it. Then 6 months later, no tests or anything, they decided they'd do chemotherapy and radiation. And in the meantime, my mum said, I haven't noticed any change in my gut. It's not got smaller. It's not. So, and the doctor just said, well, no, it wouldn't. It had nothing to do with that. So then mum had chemo and radiation. And unfortunately, I was living here at the time. And so I couldn't talk her out of it, which I would have tried because I didn't see any other rationale behind it. So they did that. And then it turned out that they then found small tumours on her liver that weren't there before. So I think when they removed the initial tumour, that it actually spread. And then what happened when mum fell down the stairs and broke her hip, and her health went rapidly downhill.
Which often happens.
And so I feel, this is my feeling, and it doesn't really matter what, but my feeling is if she hadn't have had that medical intervention, I believe she would still have been here.
Wow.
And that was 18 years ago. And so consequently, I sort of feel, and what really really miffs me the most is when early in my career, so it would have been about 89, 90, I had a client who came to see me because I had a clinic at home at the time, and she was distraught. And so I was trying to have a conversation about her health and stuff. And she was in such a mess. I said, look, tell me what's going on. She said, I can't. I'm not allowed to. I can't. I said, well, you've got to tell me. This is completely confidential. I'm not going to tell anyone. And anyway, she shared something with me, which actually just, it didn't really surprise me, but it did in a way, is that her sister was working for a cancer charity, and they found, it was a bowel cancer charity. They found a cure for bowel cancer, and they were made to sign an NDA to not disclose it. And so basically they'd found a potential cure for a bowel cancer, and they weren't allowed to share the results. And so many people didn't get what they could have done to be a cure. And I've heard that time after time after time, and especially with natural remedies and things. Many of my colleagues have been closed down, been thrown into jail.
Wow.
Because they've been curing people of supposedly incurable diseases. And we've been sold that chemo and radiation is the only way to treat these diseases. And we know that they're not.
No.
And so
that's not. There's always options. There's always other options. There is a plethora of options that people have had great success with.
There is. Yeah.
Absolutely. So for similar reasons that those people got closed down, jailed, discredited, reputations ruined, no doubt. Is exactly the same reasons why you got a few trolls, because you've probably there were some good words. There are people scanning social media to go out and keep running that narrative that anything other than the allopathic system cannot be trusted, and you are stupid to think otherwise, and you are irresponsible to say otherwise. And I'm not a medical doctor. And you're not a medical doctor, because that's the only solution to anything to do with health, despite the fact that our health system really ought to be called a sickness system, because I don't see a lot of healthy people around these days. And I do see a lot of people going in and being told there's nothing much more we can do for you. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones,
absolutely.
Getting worse and worse. It really is. And so people are going to look for alternatives, because they're not going to give up on themselves. Not everyone is going to want to give up on themselves.
No.
And so they'll turn to other means. And the other thing, Karen, is the post was and I know you're not bothered by it, which is great, but I just think I was very impressed that you posted it, because of the reactions it got, obviously, that it was bound to get. And it was very brave. But at the end of the day, it's your effing opinion about what you will personally do or not do. And,
I didn't tell anyone to do anything. I didn't tell anyone not to do anything.
And for anyone to imply that it's irresponsible to say that is basically saying everyone on the internet is stupid and can't think for themselves, and they're going to read a post like that and make a huge decision, based on that, which is just a load of rubbish, isn't it?
Oh, totally and utterly a load of bunkum, because, we've been told that we cannot be responsible for our own health. This is what they're basically saying, is hand your body over to us and we'll do what we want.
Yeah.
Not what you want, not what's best for you, but we'll do what you want. And if you don't want to, we will bombard you so much by science, you get scared and you'll go and do it anyway. And so that's what happens is, you've got this and you're going to die.
Yeah.
And this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you need to make a decision now.
Yeah, do these things. It ends in chemo, and then after that, we pretty much say, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you now.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I know that the survival rate of chemo used to be less than 2%, and survival was for 5 years. If you survived for 5 years and you died 5 years and 1 day, you're still a survivor of chemo, of cancer. However, I think it's improved slightly, but I don't know because the statistics don't really come out that much. So, and you can't rely on them anyway. So the thing is that, I don't know, it's like we live in clown world where you're not allowed to make choices that are right for you. Now, I'm not saying that the medical profession aren't useful, because I think they're fantastic for trauma and that sort of thing. But there are so many other solutions for chronic dis-ease. And that's what most people are suffering with, is chronic dis-ease.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to really take control for ourselves. I'm not saying you have to trust a practitioner or anything else. Trust you. Learn to trust you. And that's what I think the most important thing. You can get guidance, but trust you. If someone's saying something and you think, I'm not sure about that, go and research it. Yeah. Find out for you,
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that dis-ease, chronic dis-ease, will still ultimately come down to a few fundamental things, won't it? It is, and we have this in food and frequency. So it's, it is what's happening with our nutrition. What is our body getting through the food system that is doing harm or there isn't enough of to benefit you? Yeah. And then what are the environmental things that are affecting you as well?
Yeah. And emotionally, where are you?
Yes. What emotional pains and traumas are you carrying or not letting go of or not releasing that your body is storing and it's becoming dis-ease in your body, disease in your body?
It's quite interesting, Deb. I was on another interview just before we met up. Yeah. And something came up which I hadn't really shared before. And I thought I'd share with you because it's really I think it's quite interesting because, it's my story, I would find it interesting, but you know what I mean? So as you know, 25, got chronic fatigue. And over the next few years, looking for solutions, and then started looking back at my health. And so I was lucky because, of course, I could talk to my mum about my health when I was young. And what happened is I then put all the pieces together. So, up until the age of about 5, I had really, really good health. And then at about 5, I went to the dentist and they put in a filling in my baby teeth. Literally from that day forward, I had ear infections, like really severe ear infections. And they gave me an antibiotic called tetracycline. Right. Tetracycline is a heavy duty antibiotic that does so much dysregulating in the body that it actually turns, you can't have white teeth anymore. So if you think about that, what it's doing to teeth, what else is it doing within our body? Anyway, so then so I had these ear infections, and then at about 7 I changed schools, and they gave us the polio vaccine on a sugar cube, and didn't think anything more about it, of course, because as a kid you just get given it and you just take it. And then about not long after that, I developed eczema, and really severe eczema, right around my eyes, arms, back of knees, but it was my eyes that were the most painful. It did turn out I was allergic to lanolin, but because they tried putting lanolin cream on, and it just made it worse. And then around about a year later, I think that's when steroid creams came out. And so I had steroid cream all over my face and that, on my skin. And what that did, I believe, is push the toxicity, because the body was trying to push the toxicity inward. And so that's when I started getting gut issues.
Oh, my goodness.
And then at 18, I got glandular fever that had been misdiagnosed 3 times, and was given again another series of antibiotics. And 3 days later, I ended up in bed for 3 months, which really pissed me off. 18, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I was saving to go traveling, and I was supposed to be traveling when I was in bed, and that really peeved me. So, and that's when I decided I was never going to trust a medical doctor again. And I think it served me so well, because I basically have looked elsewhere. And that is why, medical misadventure, why would I trust them?
And
Why would I trust them?
Set you on. And it forced you, look at the journey that it set you on. And,
precisely.
And it forced you to have to empower yourself to, find out for yourself, to research.
Absolutely.
So you became an avid researcher, and you've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah. So that's been the gift, actually. If I look back, it was all a gift, because if I hadn't have got chronic fatigue and been stubborn enough to not go to the doctors, because God knows what they'd have put me on then, it would have probably been antidepressants or something like that, because there, or something, what was the name? There was another antidepressant that was out at the time that was highly, highly addictive. Anyway, and so, it's been sent me down the road, and that's what my passion, I think, is all about, is actually getting people to empower themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And another thing, I was thinking to myself as you were telling me about, how the filling, could have triggered things, and then, all the things that went from there. What a sensitive wee snowflake you are. But actually, thinking about it, reflecting on it now, how are we not to know that all of our children are sensitive wee snowflakes? But we are literally bombarded with chemicals and toxicity from the day we're born, even simply to the fabric that you might be laid upon, if it's not cotton or, fuel and things like that. So, and the products that are used, and the foods that we're given, and it all starts, our system starts taking on all this stuff from the get-go, and we have to learn how to expel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, I've been doing posts about why we need to detox gently, the 4 Ds of detox, drainage, defend, I can't remember what I called the next one, but it's basically destroy the parasites and I just saw I saw someone's comment, and also, and then detox. So it's actually really important that we actually have our elimination pathways open. And so if our livers are struggling, if our bowels are struggling, if our kidneys are struggling, if our skin's not eliminating properly, if all of these things, aren't working properly, then if we do a detox, then what's going to happen? The body's going to start kicking out all these toxins. What does it do then? And obviously it's a load of bullshit, but it's like I just find it very amusing that she's obviously been listening to everything we've talked about. Not.
Yeah, it follows us quite closely, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And it's I just find it wonderful. Our bodies are blooming amazing, but we have to follow certain protocols, don't we? We have to. There's a reason why people have evolved doing certain things to help our bodies heal. Yeah. And before 1913, naturopaths, herbalists, homeopathic doctors were the go-to people to go to. And it's only since 1913, which is a specific date, that the pharmaceuticals, which are petrochemical drugs, they're the ones that they got ostracized. That the naturopathic colleges got bribed to close down basically and stop selling, stop doing real healing and to do this, what I call pretend healing. It's, how many people, when you go to your doctor, heal, like really heal. You can mask symptoms. You can take drugs to mask but what happens, of course, is those drugs have side effects. And so people go along, they go for one thing and they take a drug and then they have another thing come up. And so they have to take another drug. And there's a method in the madness of it all, It's like cholesterol. What a big subject that one is.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of medical doctors know more about symptoms of drugs that they prescribe than they do about the effects of certain foods on one's system.
Oh, of course, because
they study nutrition for about half a day or a day.
Oh, yeah. Well, I found out, so I think I might have talked about this in the group before, is that one of my clients was the head doctor at Guy's Hospital in London, and he came to us as a client, and he used to come in at 7:00 in the morning via the back door because he couldn't be seen coming into a natural health clinic. But I was talking to him and I said, well, why don't doctors, take on board nutrition? And he said, well, it's simple. He said they have 4 hours of training and that's optional.
Yeah, optional.
What can you learn in 4 hours, really? I mean, when you think of the thousands of hours of study I've been doing on nutrition over the years. And, I did a 3-year course on nutrition to start with. And of course, it's a load of bullshit. But, it's and then I do 4 hours of training, 4 years of training with medical herbalism. And then I do, how many thousands of hours on bioenergetic therapies and stuff. And so I know nothing, of course. And so because I haven't got a doctor in front of my name, doesn't mean that I don't know anything.
To validate you. Mm.
Yeah, I don't want a doctorate. Who would want that? Because now they've been discredited so much that I think, And anyway, the best herbalists I know haven't been formally trained anyway.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
A lot of them have got inherited information that they've been, their parents and their grandparents have handed down to them. Gosh. And that old knowledge is just priceless, Sounds
a little bit like a secret society.
Well, don't you think that we all have so many gifts, and if we allow ourselves, we tend to gravitate towards that which really suit us really, really well. And like we talked about, why did I go into natural health? Well, there's a series of events, but there's also a series of events of spirituality with me as well, which have all sort of like dovetailed into what I do now. And so, if we allow our intuition to guide us, then we'll be doing what we're best suited to do. Yeah. So whether it's writing or whether it's maths or whether it's science or whether it's whatever, I think, we have skills that are innate in us. So you can call it inherited skills, I suppose. But, that we've
used them. Exactly. Nurture them, strengthen them. Yeah. Instead of trying to add everything.
And that's why family is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if we can learn off our family, if we can learn off our grandparents, unfortunately, I don't know about you, Deb, but because both my parents were youngest or younger, my mum was the youngest and my dad was the second youngest of very big family. So consequently, my grandmother on my mum's side had my mum, she was a menopause baby. So she had my mum in her late 40s.
Wow.
And so consequently, when we came along, she was quite old. I think she must have been late 80s. And of course, as a young child, I didn't even think about asking them about their lives. Like my granddad was the same age. And they both died at 96, but I was still in my teens. And so I just wish that they'd passed on their information to my mum and dad and that they'd passed it on to us. Because the past, the history, the family history is so important, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise a lot of that lost knowledge is, that knowledge is lost.
Yeah, I've lost a lot on my dad's side.
Yeah.
And none of his siblings are alive anymore, so it's just it's me and the cousins and my sister, and between us all, I don't think we could piece together really our history so well. And I'm very glad that my mum wrote her memoirs as well before, because my mum's starting to cognitively decline, so she's coming up with similar memories from her past, but repeats herself a lot, so a lot of the detail and nuance is gone now, and a lot of the other stories are just gone now, but they're in the book, which is wonderful, so I'm glad for that.
That's fantastic, because that's what I decided to write down, my history, just not for a book, because I've got Carbivore to Carnivore, that's totally different, but not for a book, but to pass on to my son, and I think it could be something that we all should really think about.
I've been thinking about it a lot.
What experiences we've had, like for example, probably the same as me, Deb, is when we were kids, we were free, we could go out on our bikes. This was in the UK. We could go out on our bikes all day. We used to take maybe a sandwich with us. We used to go out all day, and mum and dad didn't expect us back till nightfall, and they didn't worry about us. We used to do stupid things. You've seen the photographs of the old roundabouts and things which had concrete around it, and we used to just play on those and fall over and graze ourselves and get back up and do it again. Whereas nowadays kids don't have that freedom really, to do that. No,
very, very wrapped in cotton wool now.
Yeah, and I think it's really, for people to understand, again, I talked to Adam, our son, about pre-mobile phone years and how people could only find us, only talk to us if we were at home or if we were at work. That was it.
Yeah, or if you were meeting somewhere, you kept your word and you turned up and you. Sometimes over an hour for someone to come, but you stayed there because that's what you'd agreed. Yeah.
So And so he says, how did you manage to organize everything? But we did, we had also, in the UK, we had the community pub, which we used to go to. And we all used to meet up there. And it was unwritten word. You just were there and you organized your life for, when you're at the pub. And so we had community. And I think that's where a lot of things are missing, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we'd love to bring it back, wouldn't we?
Wouldn't we just?
And I think we'll have to discuss some of those ideas and dreams, if you like, in some future chewing the fat. I think we should do this more often, Karen, because we've been a bit remiss lately, and our chewing the fat started sort of becoming more of an interview platform, and actually it was always meant to just be a conversation like this.
And that's it, isn't it? And it's about talking about various different subjects that we know are so important, and you might disagree with us, but we sort of like to have discussions if someone disagrees with us and why you feel that way and everything else, because it's very easy to hide behind a name or a false photograph or whatever. But if you have a good discussion about things, and you can agree to disagree, we don't expect everyone to follow along what we believe. Would we want to? Because, it would be such a boring world if everyone agreed with everything, wouldn't it? Yeah. And so it's just a matter of us really going, let's talk about this. I mean, there's so many subjects we could be talking about, like glyphosate or detoxing, not just from food, but emotional stuff that we carry around with us and all of those things, it's just
let's talk about cholesterol, you said. It's like, well, maybe next time.
Because cholesterol, all of these things, they're very they can be polarizing, but also when you polarize it brings up discussion, doesn't it? And I think that's what we need to, as humanity, to grow. We need to discuss things.
Yeah, absolutely. And more now, necessary now in the world of AI, where we are literally handing over our thinking to AI more often than not. Like, we actually have to keep this active and really encourage more debate and more discussion, because otherwise soon our reality is going to be a regurgitated unreality created by AI and not challenged by us.
And also, it's the art of conversation too.
Yes.
And I think that's what we've actually, in many cases, lost, is the art of listening. Because it is an art, isn't it? It really is an art of really, really listening to the person we're talking to, because basically most people are listening and they've got this and they're doing this and and they're doing, they've got their mobile phone. Mine's on flight mode.
And they're also formulating their response to something you just said. Oh, I've got a great comeback for that.
Yes.
And they're not listening to anything else that follows,
Yes, that's so true. Because, and that's, I think, maybe we should have classes on the art of listening and the art of conversation. But not that I'm saying that we could lead it, but there are some brilliant people out there who could be really, I just think it's because we don't use it, and that's the reason.
And I love that old adage, if we've got two ears and one mouth for that reason, we should be listening twice as much as we're talking.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, saying that, it's also different learning skills, isn't it? So basically I learn by reading. I've learned over the last few years is I might be in theory listening to a video, for example, but I take on much more when I read it. Whereas other people take on much more if it's audio. And so
I'm quite visual.
Yeah. So we're all different. But we still all need the art of conversation.
We do, absolutely.
And sharing what we feel and not being afraid of sharing what you feel, because that's so disempowering, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
So, and because we have been taught as well to squash our feelings, to not express truly what we think. And what happens then, of course, is
go
that
along with the herd.
And
to go along with the herd, go along
yeah.
with the crowd.
Yeah, and that's
not
what
boat.
that's true. Yeah. And there's a reason why your business is called Rock the Boat after all, because it is about doing that. It's actually not being afraid of rocking the boat. And it's actually really down to it. It's not being afraid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not being afraid to choose your own path. It's not being afraid to talk about choosing your own path. And it's not being afraid of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, that is what polarizes. That's what stops growth, I believe. If we don't show who we truly are and we're playing a part, what's the benefit to the soul for that?
Exactly. We just become non-playing characters, don't we? In the
Well,
world.
we do. Yeah, I was trying to think of that. Non-playing. Yeah, that's it. NPCs. Yeah, non-playing characters. Yeah, we become zombie-like, don't we?
Yeah. No, I'd sooner be the hero, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be the hero. I'd rather be me.
Yeah.
And then you're not afraid of what anyone says or does or whatever. It's just like, oh well, you choose you, I'll choose me.
Yep. And that's not to say that when you do come out with these statements that you know are probably going to be quite polarizing, that you should not be prepared to have that conversation, right? With those who oppose. You absolutely need to be able to have that conversation and talk it through. Not that you need to justify your opinion, but you shouldn't shy away from the conversation.
No.
Or use one-line statements like "what a load of bullshit" and then leave it at that.
And go, yeah. So, yeah, because she hasn't replied since. So, but it's like it's really a interesting journey, and the thing is that the more we express what we truly feel, the more that empowers other people to speak how they truly feel.
Yeah. Absolutely. It gives people permission slips, doesn't it? Blimey,
it does.
If they did that and they're not dead, like they're still okay, they've come out of it unscathed, I could do that. I could start to speak my mind a bit more.
Yeah. And that's the object, isn't it?
I had a conversation last night with my mother, and I was coming out with a lot of my beliefs and a lot of my truths and the things that I believe to be true, and she sort of said to me, "Yeah, I don't like confrontation. I'll generally avoid an argument. I've got a few opinions, but she was basically saying, good on you, because I will generally go along with the crowd, and I think it's good that you hold firm with your truths, you know, what you believe to be true." And
that's a lovely conversation. That's really cool.
It was a lovely conversation. It really, it was nice to hear from my mother, because in her former years, I felt she was quite opinionated and one could say stubborn too. But it was really nice to hear that she recognised that in me now.
That's great. That really is great. And so it's just about, because the more we give ourselves permission, the less likely we'll have any problem with it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and soon it becomes your new normal, right? And that's how you get to really live authentically you in the world, which is the only way.
I wrote a post this morning. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically, this is about self-love, but it's like putting it. So basically, if you lived 1 year in the person you loved the most in the world in their bodies, what would you do to keep it healthy or whatever, knowing that you're going to hand it back in a year?
What a question. Wow.
And if, you know, and so that should be, do it for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Well, Karen, we've been here a little while. I think we should call it a day. But let's get together and have this and chew the fat again soon.
All right, we will. High five.
High five. Because we've got lots to talk about.
Yeah, awesome. All right, my love. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.
No worries. Have a great rest of your day.